الله 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 نور السماوات والأرض. Lantern of light evolving together.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the kind, the most merciful. Assalamu alaikum, dearest viewers. Inshallah, you are well and enjoying the spiritual grace of this blessed month of Rajab. Alhamdulillah, Allah has given us another opportunity to discuss the topic of Tawakkul. And we are really indebted to the Lantern of Light and its team for facilitating these discussions. The Lantern of Light dedicated team of experienced faith mentors, professional therapists are there to make a positive impact in our lives. Lantern of Light engages in empathetic listening, holistic support, and community impact. We have complimentary taster sessions, and there is lots and lots of things going on. We just had a beautiful retreat. So if you want to join any of our programs, please reach out at lanternoflight@hotmail.com. Alternatively, you can visit our website, lanternoflight.co.uk. And inshallah, Lantern of Light has also launched its Ramadan Relief 2024, as you would have seen in the beginning. And it is said that it's estimated that 811 million people worldwide go to bed hungry each night. And so Lantern of Light UK is partnering with Ahlul Bayt Relief Committee, which is in Kenya, who will be serving during Ramadan, into this month of Ramadan, into the most vulnerable population families in Kenya and around Kenya. So your donation of £30 will provide basic staple foods such as maize flour, cooking oil, rice, tea, sugar, maybe pulses or wheat flour. So please donate generously and join us in this good work. So today's episode, alhamdulillah, as you know, that the Tawakkul series aims at bringing people from our community who have shown great resilience and grit and have moved on from their challenges to develop themselves. And today we have Lantern of Light special with a special guest. We'll be talking about intuition. You see, our bodies have 5 senses: touch, smell, taste, sight, and hearing. But we overlook our senses of our souls, which is intuition, peace, foresight, trust, empathy. So few of us use our inner senses. And so beautifully Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran says, وَأَوْحَيْنَا إِلَىٰ أُمِّ مُوسَى. He actually inspired Musa and he said, feed him. But when you fear for him, put them into the river and do not fear or grieve. We will certainly return him to you. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave an inspiration to Musa's mother and she followed it. She trusted her inner sense. And today, trusting our gut may seem like an outdated concept, but it has stood the test of time, I would think. And relying on our intuition can be such a powerful tool. I was reading a quote by Albert Einstein, and he said, "The intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. And we have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift." How beautiful it is that. So the intuition means that you know something from your instinct without needing to consciously think about it. And all of us can relate to the fact that the intuition of the mother is so accurate. You can't explain from where it came, but it's something that we all have experienced. And because it's a sacred gift human beings have, in the modern day world, we rarely see that it's being used because we got so much external noise that receiving and acting on intuitive messages is a skill that many of us having to relearn. So today we have Farzana, who is actually honed into that intuitive skill. And she's going to share us her journey of following her intuition or her inner voice. Assalamu alaikum, Farzana.
Assalamu alaikum.
How are you?
Alhamdulillah, you okay?
Thank you so much for joining us. You know, Farzana is a specialist learning disability nurse. She's a social worker. She has an MSc, mashallah, in neuroscience and psychology of mental health. She's also a holistic therapeutical life coach. And she has this thing called Farzana Inspires Wellbeing. And she's been doing this course. And I've been really tempted to join a course which is called Who Am I, which is going to start soon. Right, Farzana? So, Farzana, can I be a little bit of cheeky and ask you? You do this course, Who Am I? But who are you?
Who am I? It's very hard, and I'm sure that anyone that asks themselves that question is very hard. I've never fitted into any of those, the Myers-Briggs and all these kind of personality questionnaires, and they've never worked for me. I don't think they've ever been accurate. I've never been able to find myself in any of those. Maybe because I'm Gemini and I have so many different personalities, possibly. I don't know. But I'm very different, I feel. I always did as a child. I always felt that I didn't fit in. I struggled very much in making friends. And so I didn't have a very positive outlook of myself at all. In fact, at times, I also have dyslexia. So as a child, I didn't know that I had dyslexia. It was something that I was experiencing because it was the experience of not being able to keep up with anyone, not being able to understand what's happening within the classroom. Even teachers, I don't think, were very helpful because they would question you and they would put you on the spot, even though they know you're struggling. At that time, even teachers weren't so aware about, and isn't it so beautiful that after studying my master's, I've actually understood so much more about dyslexia in terms of it being a neurodevelopmental disorder, which, I've been working in the field of neurodevelopmental disorders as a learning disabilities nurse. So, subhanAllah, it's amazing how your life, and we're talking about journeys, right? And how your life takes you. So yes, I'm still finding myself, and the tools that I've always used to try and find myself is what started the Who Am I course, and now there's obviously a range of courses.
Mashallah. Yes, we'll talk about that course and perhaps how our viewers can join the course. And let me tell the viewers that if you have a question, you have a comment, we'd really love to hear you on our YouTube channel. So just type in and I will share it with Farzana and ask the question on your behalf, inshallah. So we would love to hear your comments. Anything you want to even share with Farzana, that would be wonderful. So how was it that you coped with life when you were a child? I mean, did you feel that you were kind of a nobody then?
I was a nobody. Definitely, I was a nobody. I didn't fit anywhere. I think this is where the intuition came in. So I was doing things to soothe myself. I had to, otherwise I wouldn't be in a good place. Obviously, my mental health was affected as a result, and being so lonely at times. Obviously, family support's always there, but it's not the same. You want to be seen and accepted within the outside world. My intuition gave me tools because I was so young. I wouldn't know. I mean, we're so lucky we have all this social media and we have, access to knowledge so easily to know how to if we need help for anything, just Google it and get an answer. There was nothing like that. It was my tuition that guided me. So, at night, I would...
because they say one of the best ways to cultivate your intuition is practice mindfulness and self-reflection. Would you say that that's a way of did you cultivate it that way?
Yes. So the tools that I used to use, or things that I just did intuitively, it was just I just did them. There was no thought
without labeling it as such, right?
Yeah. So it would be like, if the sun is shining, I used to love reading books because it took me away from the real world. Even though I couldn't read that well, but I'd read it again and again till I actually tried to understand it. I would move my chair or my bed or whatever it might be to move it against the window in the direction of where the sun was coming in, so that I was actually sitting within the heat of the sun. And when you think about that, that's an element of sensory stimulation. It's an element of mindfulness.
Yes.
And I think sensory stimulation really helps when you're feeling very low or lost, or it kind of gives you a bit of life. So I used to open the window at night when everyone was asleep, if I couldn't sleep, and put my head out the window, put my hand out the window, feel the wind, listen to the sounds. And it was so beautiful because there was the moon. Whenever it shone, it always used to be on top of a tree that was right in front of my window in the view. And it was such a beautiful.
You remember that really well, huh? Absolutely.
The stars, we don't see as much now, but at that time you could still see the stars. Things like that, which definitely are sensory and mindful. Yes. And nobody taught me that. It was just something that I used to do.
That was your kind of coping mechanism for what you were going through, right? To be able to
cleared my mind. Otherwise, I would continue to think about things and get overwhelmed.
So did you kind of have an internal awakening, or was it just some coping mechanism that just took you through your schooling life in a way?
I think initially it was just a coping mechanism because I didn't know what was wrong with me. Like I said, I thought, I was very, the words I used for myself were stupid. I used to call myself that. I used to think, that I have no worth, even no matter how much your parents would tell you or your family would tell you. So that's the way, I just kind of rolled through my childhood, wishing it would go quicker.
So sorry, Farzana. So a family support doesn't really help in a situation like that?
So it does. They want the best for you, but what you end up feeling is sometimes you end up feeling a burden in terms of they want the best for me, but I can never give them the best of me because I don't know who I am. I don't know the best of me. And you kind of feel sad for them. So in some ways you feel sad for the person that's caring for you as well. It's guilt. And as you know, as human beings, wherever we get a chance to hold on to guilt, we love guilt, sadly, in any situation, whether it's a bereavement or whatever it might be. And I guess that's an element of guilt, even though it wasn't in my control, the situations, but.
Yeah. So you went through life and you actually went through your studies, whatever, and then you accepted who you are, and were you comfortable with it, or was there a time when you were still, because of course you did your studies and then you got married, right?
Yeah. So it's really strange because although I didn't accept myself, I mean, I failed my GCSEs, I failed my A levels, I wasn't able to get, I had to retake GCSEs to obviously get the basic GCSEs, and so it wasn't easy. So I didn't accept myself in that sense because I thought, why? There's nothing to show that I'm different. I look normal. Why am I not normal? And then I started doing some other kind of training courses that got me to get enough credits together to go to university. But I got married before that. So I didn't go to university before. I got married and I had a child. And I had this impulse that there's more to my life. I can't just, I used to do beauty therapy, used to do Mendi and brides, and a lot of people used to come to talk to me about their problems. And I felt that there's definitely something more for me. I still didn't know I was dyslexic at this point. So
like a big driving force to go to a university, right? and actually when you had a 6-month-old baby, right?
Yeah, he was 6 months.
What was the driving force there? A strange push, right?
So I think, and it's just amazing that the course that I've done as well is working with people with neurodevelopmental disorders and working with neurodiversity. Obviously, God had a plan. A 6 months baby, given, I went back and did my 4 weeks of work that I had to do after maternity. And I said, that's it. My husband thought, what's wrong with you? But I had to do it. And I said, I'm going to do it. I didn't even know whether I'll pass or not, but I had tawakkul, I guess, that whatever the case, I have to try it because it's an impulse. It's something that's telling me, even though I'm trying to forget it.
So Farzana, was the nursing and you did nursing and what degree? Social work. Was that also something that came from within, that this is what I want to do?
So no, I went for nursing. I always wanted to be somebody that cares, wanted to be a doctor or something like that, right? So I went for the nursing, and specifically for people with learning disabilities, because I was already working in the field before.
Mm.
Social work came with it, which was, subhanallah, just again another blessing. I had signed up for nursing, and they gave me a social work. They said it's a dual degree, and it was an all year round degree. So you only got like 2 weeks in the summer or something of holiday. That's it. So with the new baby, it was such and not being able to study, but going to university allowed me to get diagnosed with dyslexia, because I didn't know, and obviously they picked something up. I went to see the ed psych, and they assessed me and said that you have dyslexia. And it was very clear to me why I was struggling with so many things. And since then, I've been able to find ways to work around it, which helped me to get through my degree. But subhanAllah, it had no retakes, nothing. I was one of 3 people in the cohort that didn't have even one retake.
Oh, well done. But did you ever self-doubt? I cannot do this. I mean, quite often we have self-doubt, especially after you've had a child and you've gone into university after a long time. And you think, I'm not sure that I can do this.
Oh, I spent time crying. So I remember, because I used to go Hertfordshire, so I'd drive down the motorway and I'm crying my eyes out thinking, I can't do this, I can't cope, I'm not going to be able to do this. And I put the windscreen wipers on thinking that it's raining, because my eyes are so, like, I was so out of it. I can still remember, it was, I don't know. I don't even know how I got through it. But again, I think following the path of Allah, whatever He wants, if we're open to that and it falls in our lap, no matter how difficult it might be to do it, that's our test. And clearly Allah wants us to be in a place that He wants us to be in, and whatever comes, we have to jump on that path.
But at that moment, did you feel this was God's hand guiding you to it? So were you convinced and had this trust in Allah that He is taking me to somewhere?
Initially, I didn't quite understand it initially, but within the first year, when I had my bioscience exam, and it's a full cohort, so we had mental health nurses, child nurse, all nurse modules that were being done. We were all doing them together. So even the paramedics, the ambulance service, even they would sit in the exam with us. So you can imagine it was a big cohort of. And when I got through that exam, I was one of the 3 at that point that passed the exam, and I was told that. Then I thought, then this cannot be. How is that possible? This has to be, Allah's path. Yeah. And I guess that gave me the energy to. And I also found that whilst I was revising, there was times when my son was crying and I'd be holding him, and I can't understand a thing of what I'm reading. But just staring at the page, I sat in my exams and I could read off the page. So I didn't know that until I sat in the exam. I thought I'd fail. But literally, I realized that I had photographic memory, and that I could read off a page and I could answer a question.
Yeah, so a latent talent within you probably didn't know that you had, right?
Yeah.
So that's really beautiful, because then did you start building a relationship with yourself?
No, I still didn't know. I started to building a relationship with Allah, but not myself. Not at that point. I found I was still trying to understand what was happening to me. There was still too much going on. I mean, I had a young baby as well. I was working hospital shifts till late, I had family, obviously. And so it was too much for me to think about me at that time.
But you just went through the uni and just got on with it. That's it. Saying this
was a painful journey, so I couldn't stop to think about it.
Ah, right. Okay. So you just plowed on.
Exactly. I just had to keep going. But that's what I'm saying, that at least that trust was there, and that was the start of my relationship with Allah, in a mindful sense, which I think I had it as I was a child, doing all the mindful things that I was doing. But in a mindful way to build that relationship.
Wow.
And that was the start, I feel. Because you have
Did you ask him, Allah, please help me? Like they say in the exams, all my students say, help God, please pray for me, miss. I said, you have to study too.
Inshallah, if it's for us, it will come. And that's what I used to say. If it's for me, You put
Yeah.
me here. You've put me here. I haven't done this myself. And this is your choice. And
Excellent.
so it's only you that can get me through, you know?
It's
And that really shows a connection at that point, I
so
think.
it's so beautiful for all of us viewers and ourselves as well, that when you trust God has put you in a place, you just get on with it, right? So that's really beautiful. So they say friendship with oneself is all important, because without it one cannot be friends with anyone else in the world. um, and we can never walk away from our own selves, so we really need to know ourselves. Do you feel that way? And at what point did you sort of make friendship? Okay, I'm dyslexic, I know I'm doing this, I know. And at what point did you feel, now I am quite happy with who I am?
Even after I finished uni, initially I didn't, but once I started working after university with people, vulnerable people, that's when I started to realize that I thought I was vulnerable. I thought I was the one that was at loss. I thought I was the one that was weak, but God has given me the ability to empower others, to be with others, to support others. And so clearly he loves me. And so I have to look at myself and start to love myself. He's given me so much in abundance. And so it's about time that I realize that if he loves me that much, there must be something in myself, and I have to start to love myself. And I guess that's when the journey started of actually starting to understand myself, starting to learn about myself.
So the Buddha says no one saves us but ourselves. Do you feel, I know Allah is there, but sometimes we ourselves must walk the path. Do you think that is the case?
Yes, we can't rely on others. I mean, one example is that there's so many courses now. At the time, and obviously when I was trying to
Yeah.
find out who I was, there was no such thing. There was no courses. There was nothing, and I really had to use my intuition to try and start seeking knowledge from wherever I could and patch it together and try and make sense of myself. And I think when we have, I've kind of lost my trail, when we have a space where we can start understanding ourselves,
Yeah.
we need to open up our pain first. And I think that's the starting point. We must sit with our pain and reflect. Reflection is another thing that I did as a child. And in my nursing, we have to qualify, we have to do 100-day reflection, 100 reflection logs, and they're assessed as well. And it's over 100 days continuous. And so look at that, subhanAllah. My reflection was then embedded within my work. And so, I became a pro at reflecting as such. And Imam Ali tells us, we must reflect. So reflecting doesn't mean reflecting outwardly. It means go to your deepest, darkest place and just sit there for a bit and understand why that deep, dark space exists. There's obviously a reason. Everything is a reason, because it's a foundation for you to build off, right? And if it means to excavate it, acknowledge it, and remove it, you can only do that through reflection. And once you've removed it, you fill that space with love. But you learn so much from sitting in your darkness and sitting in your pain.
Yeah, because they say, that everything we are searching for is within us, but we constantly look outside of ourselves for answers, right? We look for so many things outside of ourselves: validation, satisfaction, permission, love, and we base our happiness on factors we can't even control sometimes, and then we get unmet expectations. So in that sense, it's sitting with ourselves and being able to say, what gives me fulfillment, right? In a way.
Definitely, because if I had started to look outwardly, I would be even more, low and upset and depressed, and it would be difficult to move on in life. I had to start going inwardly, and there's a difference between going inwardly and crying over your pain. So you could be sitting and crying over your pain. That's not going to move you forward. Neurologically, that is just reinforcing those emotions. Whereas if you sit there and understand that, for what reason did Allah put me in this position? If I wasn't in a position where I had felt pain because of my limitations in life, I would never understand the limitations that other people may be experiencing, such as people with learning disabilities.
Yes.
It's all
That's
part of the
beautiful, because
master
your
plan.
pain helps you. Your pain helps you now to see other people's pain, right?
Yeah, and also understand that,
Yeah.
I may never have come through the process of learning disabilities if I myself had not experienced that,
Yeah.
And also the way I found the job was amazing. I was looking for a part-time job and it came up and I thought, let's just go and see what that is. I have no idea what learning disabilities is. I got the job. I mean, it was my first real proper job that I really enjoyed. And that was it. That was the start of my career and my life. And it was an
Subhan.
accident as such. But as we know, there's no such thing as an accident or, a coincidence. It's always,
No.
always Allah's hand.
Yes, absolutely. It's divine providence, as they say, So, they say fulfillment is a process of living a valued life. When you pursue things that matter to you and you're passionate about it, and you were passionate about, this. So what you did was you, mashallah, gave back to the community. Is that right? So you started something called Inspirational Mind. I love the statement, Inspirational Minds. So
I had to
what
put mine in there.
triggered that?
So the name was actually a joint. It was three of us that started. So it was myself. There was a parent and an adult child that had a hearing impairment. Okay, because obviously I wanted a consultation of somebody that is within our services, that's struggling from within our services, and ask them to take the lead. And that's how it started. So the name came from within us. We wanted mind in there and we wanted inspiration, because if you're struggling, you need inspiration, right? So that's how it came together. And alhamdulillah, it was a service that was set up to support people struggling with any health, social and emotional needs. And it grew very quickly. Within 2 years, we had up to 40 professionals, and we used to hold events, and we even managed to collaborate with local charities and local services like Mind and other services like that.
Yeah, there was a lot of murmur about how great it was. I remember I was, yeah. But are there any challenges working in a community to start something like that? So what advice would you give for others who would want to start something in another community?
I would say always start small. And again, follow your intuition, but start small and take very small steps to increase. We tend to want to make things big quickly, but if we haven't got the foundations laid, we haven't looked at procedures so that everyone can replicate it, and we haven't looked at building a solid team that can take up the need, or at that time it was referrals and things like that were coming through. You need to make sure that you can manage the service. Yeah. So I think sometimes small is better. And if it naturally grows, again, that's Allah's will, it will.
Intuitive. Yes. Intuitively it grows. So that's good. So at the moment it's handled by some other people in Hujjat, right? Is that right?
Yes. So when my father passed away, I handed it over. I felt that I needed time just for myself.
Okay, so what do you actually do now, Farzana? I'm sorry.
So there are many people that didn't actually, during even Inspirational Minds, didn't want to use a Jamaat service, as we see a lot. It's trust and all kinds of things, right? Yeah. That you have to be. So I was helping a lot of people privately. And then during COVID, I started writing this Who Am I course. And I also wrote a mental health course during COVID and started delivering those, because obviously mental health needs were increasing significantly as a result of obviously lack of social relationships, being able to, continue with social relationships on a day-to-day basis. So I think what I felt was that I really wanted to do more for people. So these courses really helped people to come in and get support. Another area was a lot of people going through domestic abuse. And so as a result, I was struggling to find them places to go or support to get that. That's another reason why I wrote the course. And so they were getting the support that they needed to be able to understand how they can work within certain situations, and also the decision making. How can they, again, if you're so emotional, you can't tap into your intuition as much because of the lack of clarity, or you don't feel grounded in any way. So it's about trying to get somebody to be less aroused, and be in a state where they can actually tap into thoughts and intuition, and even understand their sensory needs at the time. And so that helped people to even make a decision as to whether to stay or leave. What we tend to do, people that come to me, what do you think I should do? Should I leave my husband?
Solution. Yeah, give me a solution.
You can't do that. And we can't. You have to look within. You have to be sure, because you will live in regret for the rest of your life. I cannot know your life situation. Only you can understand it. I can support you to tap into yourself and understand what to think about, but I can't make that decision. And so again, this course really helped people.
I forgot to mention, Farzana, sorry, that you did a master's in neuroscience and mental health. So it's not just nursing and social work. Now you moved on to neuroscience and mental health. So
I did.
What kind of made you do that master's? Again, an intuitive feeling? And at what stage did you do that?
So I felt that the kids had grown up and they were starting to move on. They didn't need me at that time. I mean, that one's going to go into GCSE soon, so I timed it really well so that I could finish in time for the next child needing my attention. And so I felt that there was something more. I didn't have I was quite holistic in terms of social needs. I could manage people's social needs and assess for social needs. I could assess their health and mental health needs. However, I didn't have the complete background or certification in psychology, so I wanted to obviously get that. But I also wanted to understand more from the mind perspective, the neurological perspective, to give me a fully rounded understanding of each individual that presents themselves to me. Literally understand everything about them before exploring any avenues to see what will work. But again, sorry, I just wanted to bring up that Lantern of Light in Ramadan, and I'm sure you know as well, are going to be doing, supporting people that obviously are going through issues, mental health issues, domestic abuse. So if you are struggling and need support, reach out. I know that you had said at the beginning as well, but I thought just this particular bit, I just wanted
to bring. So what, have you got an Instagram page, or shall we reach out through Lantern of Light? Have you got, they can reach out to you. So
this would be through Lantern of Light, but I also have an Instagram page, which is Farzana Inspires Wellbeing. Yeah.
Okay, Farzana, that's right.
I'll be supporting Lantern of Light in this, inshallah.
Okay, inshallah. That's wonderful. So anyone, any of our viewers would like to get in touch with Farzana, please do so. Okay, Farzana, you do so much. Does it ever drain your energy off?
Oh no, that's something that increases my energy. Definitely. Learning and understanding, and something that I could never do before. And now the doors are opening one by one to a new world of knowledge. Oh my God. I love learning, honestly.
Not learning, but when you try to help others, do you absorb their emotions or things like that, or you're kind of quite grounded in yourself to be able to handle that, or do you take all their emotions and feel, oh, poor things?
So I guess through the nursing and therapeutic work, I've learned the tools to obviously keep a distance, but there were times where I'd literally be very drained. And I was told, to be in wudu when you're working with people, to recite Surah Yasin before you work with people, and obviously not face someone directly or be very close to them at the time. Because all these things do, and we don't think beyond our physical being sometimes. It really does drain us. But even, for example, when I went to my trip to Dar es Salaam, amazing event it was, lots and lots of people that were participating. It was amazing. But I was so drained at the end. I actually sat in the plane and I cried because I was so exhausted, And so, we have to know our boundaries. We have to know how much we can take. And if we're new to working with people, you'd want to work slowly and carefully, so you can give the most you can with each individual. But obviously I've been doing this for more than 23 years, so
Yes.
subhanallah.
So you're pro at it, mashallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي Adam, right? And then he says, لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. I've given you karam, I've made you the best of makes. So how can we be the best version of ourselves in a way? Because mashallah, you've been through a journey of finding intuition and growing, and now you're serving the community. What kind of advice would you give to people who want to sort of be challenged in their lives with becoming better human beings?
I would say first, again, tawakkul. Have tawakkul in Allah that He has chosen you to be you. And so if He has chosen you to be you, you need to start to understand you. If you've chosen a partner to live with, marry, you're going to have to learn to understand your partner. But can your partner ever understand you if you don't know yourself? And so we must, look inwardly. We must understand ourselves and appreciate even the things that we don't like within ourselves, because eventually once you focused on that, you will realize that actually those were blessings. We just didn't at the time. The problem is we want to be like others. And so we don't see those nuances within us as a blessing. We see them as an awkwardness.
Yeah, so we don't see the uniqueness of us, right?
Yeah.
That's what you said. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given each one of us something which is, very unique, and we can amplify our strengths if we can only find them, right? But we need to find the triggers. We need to be able to go within, like you said. And there is a lot about letting go of your limiting beliefs these days, right, Farzana? So tell us something that how can we let go of our limiting beliefs?
I think, when we say let go of a limit, you can't just let go. You can't let go of limiting beliefs without acknowledging them. And this is why people struggle to move forward from their limiting beliefs. Or we use affirmations so it's like you've got a stain on or a dirty patch on the table, for example, right? Now, if you're going to put a really positive thing on top of it, it's not going to work. If you're just going to flick it away, it's not going to go. You're going to have to actually scrub it, clean it, look at it, understand it. What is it made of, this stain? And then you can move forward. So in the same way, when we have limiting beliefs, acknowledge the belief, acknowledge where it's come from, go to the root cause of where that belief came from. It might go right down to your childhood. It might be within your marriage. You have to find where it's come from and why it's come. Once you understand that, then you're ready to say, well, I don't need it now. It's not relevant in my life anymore. Do you understand? These beliefs come in to protect us at the time. They were relevant at one point, but they're not relevant now, and we shouldn't be holding on to that. If we continually reflect on ourselves, we will know when to let go of certain beliefs.
And it's probably like a process. It's not just like a magic wand, right? So it's kind of a process. And therefore, that's where you come in as well, because sometimes you need some kind of accountability and mentoring to be able to see where those beliefs are. So I couldn't sit under the sunlight like you and think, what's my limiting belief, right? It doesn't just come like that. So, I was reading a book called Miracles, A Course in Miracles. And Marianne Williamson said very beautifully, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. And it is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. And we ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God, she says, and your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. He says, we are all meant to shine as children we do, because children say, oh, we're great, right? We are born to make manifest the glory of God within us, she says. And it's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. And we are liberated from our own fear. Our presence automatically liberates others. So somebody in the in our YouTube channel says, Subhanallah, Farhana, you're such an inspiration. And it's from Love from India. I don't know who she is, but
Oh,
Fatima from India. So she says, you're such an inspiration, because I think your light is already shining on people, and they're feeling that you're sort of somebody who's really gone through your darkness and now able to shine your light on others as well, mashallah. So well done on that. I wanted to ask you that, what do you think is the next steps? We all live in communities, and we were on mashallah, a retreat recently, and Sheikh Shamali talked about social wilaya. He said social wilaya, we need to hold each other's hands and pull us, each other up. So what do you think our community needs now? Where can we take it in? Because we hear so much about mental health, and we hear so much about depression. People are having all sorts of, issues. How do you see, and what advice would you give to our communities?
we need to stop looking over the fence.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, we need to stop looking elsewhere and seeing on social media, and we hear this all the time. Oh, this one's got an expensive car or a lovely house, or the child's going in private education. We need to stop that, really. Wherever Allah has put us there, that's the perfect place for us. We can only grow in the place that we're meant to grow. You can't plant palm trees in the UK. They can only grow where they need to grow. Does that make sense?
Yes,
so whatever
yes.
you have, first accept
Okay.
what you have. Okay.
Yeah.
And I also feel socially as well, we need to be able to mingle with different types of people. Just like we hear people say, I love traveling, so I get to meet different cultures,
Yes.
different people. In our lives, even if we're not blessed to travel as much, that's fine. Just within our communities, there are so many different people from so many different backgrounds with so much knowledge, which is different. And knowledge doesn't have to be somebody that's done a degree or a master's, or, knowledge is culture, way of life,
and experience of life as well, right? Yeah,
definitely. So we need to, look at people very differently than what we've been pushed towards, and we feel that that's an intuition, which is not. We've been kind of pushed in a direction to think in a certain way, and we need to question that. We need to reflect on that. And again, that comes back down to identity. Now, if we are looking at our own identity as an individual and not as a community, I'm a Khoja coming from Stanmore, I'm a, strip it back to who you are as an individual, then look into the community and think, am I doing justice in the role I play within the community? Is it because I want to be with people, or is it because I want to support people or understand people? What is my role within my community? That bring it back down to yourself as one individual, not even a family member. Does that make sense?
Right.
If we put a spotlight on ourselves, we'll understand ourselves, and we will understand our community and our family and our children from a different light.
That's why they say, know yourself and you know your Lord, right? In a way. So I like that statement that you said, put a spotlight on yourself, shine the light and see who you are, and then you can go out there in the wider world, right? But as a community, is there something we can do to make everyone have a spotlight on themselves?
So when I say put a spotlight on yourself, what I mean is that to look at yourself and your behaviors with the people that you interact with.
Right. Okay.
Do you gravitate towards the same people all the time? Do you talk to the people that sit next to you and understand what's happening? One thing that I've learned from being somebody that was once upon a time a lonely person, or a loner as such, is that God again put me in that position so that if somebody sat next to me and they needed support, my interaction with them would straight away pick it up. And a lot of the time I had an intuition that the person sitting next to me will tap me or talk to me. And so I would make sure that I was alone, and I think that the beauty of the way, we've been placed in certain situations, we need to understand that, Now, if I was always sitting with people, then maybe I would never have these opportunities. So we all have power within us, and
Yeah.
we don't know them. And we will never know them if we live in the world. That
Yes,
makes
absolutely.
sense.
Yeah.
So we have to step away from the world to see what our powers are and what we have on offer.
And so then when you have a relationship with yourself, then it sets the tone for relationship with everybody else as well, right?
Yeah,
In a way.
exactly.
And I know that you were telling me that this course that you do, you had some fantastic testimonials that people didn't realize they are kind of high flyers. They had lots of education and they were doctors or whatever, but actually coming to the course, they could sort of now go within and do greater things. Is that right?
Yes, I think once you understand yourself and you understand your power, that's when
Yeah.
it shines through. You see, we could go and learn something and try to use that as a tool, but there's a disconnect. Does that make sense? And it's that disconnect that doesn't allow us to achieve.
Right.
When we understand and we have faith in ourselves and faith in Allah, then there's nothing holding us back ever. Does that make sense? We have faith that if I go wrong, Allah will pull me back. Does that make sense?
Yes, that's true. Somebody might say, yes, Farzana, mashallah, Allah gave you an intuition. Now you're doing this. But I don't know what talent I have. I don't know what I want to do with my life. Is that something that you hear quite often, perhaps?
You will know. You will know.
Right.
If you go inwardly, you will know what qualities are yours. What are your values? What are your values is a very big thing. What are
Yeah.
your beliefs? What do you believe in and why? Challenge them. Challenge your values. Challenge your belief.
Right.
And you will get a better picture of what you. A lot of people change their career because they go on something thinking that this is what's meant to be. Everyone's doing it. It earns a lot of money. It's whatever, but their heart is not in it. They just don't feel that is something for them.
Yeah.
And when they go inwardly and they find the right thing, that's when that they take off.
Yes.
It's you see the difference in them.
The flight.
Yeah.
because fulfillment is the process of living a valued life. What you value
Yes.
much, then you get fulfilled, right? Farzana, is there any other wise words or anything you'd like to share with our viewers? Anything that you've come across that you'd like to give words of wisdom at all?
I think we've covered a lot in 1 hour, mashallah.
Mashallah, yeah.
I just feel that if you're struggling, always reach out. You've got the Lantern of Light as well, such an amazing support network within Lantern of Light charities. And, there's so many people behind the scenes that are supporting Lantern of Light as well, especially this Ramadan. Like I said, if there is anything that you're struggling with in terms of your mental health, do not hesitate to reach out. I'm guessing there's an email address or a website. Through the website, is there a messaging service?
Yeah,
So
you can send a Hotmail account. Yeah.
Sit there in the worry that what will others think.
Yeah. Don't worry about the judgment. Yes. No one's here.
How much time do we have in the world?
No,
and
absolutely.
we're all here to achieve the best that we can. Not the best. Allah has not said that we have to be perfect beings. He said we're supposed to seek perfection. Seek perfection. That means an attempt, a try. So if there's a block in our life that's not allowing us to move forward in any way, seek help. Get the help that you need so that you can then fulfill what you're here for, inshallah.
That's great. Thank you. Because sometimes you think, oh, it'll just go away. I'll fast. I will, I'll pray and I'll do all these things. I'll go for ziyarah. I'll go for hajj. And then suddenly.
That's like shopping, right? When you go shopping and you bring something and it feels so good, or you eat a chocolate bar. And then after that, as soon as that's finished, back to square one. It won't go away. And Allah wants us to deal with it. That's why He's put it there.
Yeah. So we have to do the inner work before we can move that. Were there any aha moments in your life that you'd like to share with us?
So writing these courses, actually, it's really funny because, again, they were through intuition. So I was actually writing a course on for teenagers on gang crime and issues like that,
Wow.
grooming and abuse and things like that. I started writing that course, and I kept getting this thing, to work on a mental health course. And I ignored it, and I ignored it, and I ignored it. And then finally I gave up, and I said, okay, I'll do it. And I wrote it. I didn't. And subhanAllah, even the way it came out, the way it presented, I sometimes don't even realize how I have managed to develop a course. And when I deliver it is when I think, subhanAllah, wow, it's just fallen into place. It's just, and that's anything that we do. If the intention is there, that's half the job. Allah says what? You take one step closer to me, I'll take 10 steps closer to you. Is that correct? Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's what he does.
Yeah.
It's written, even the book that I wrote as well. It was just the fact that I could see that children were struggling with their identity.
Can you tell us about the book, please?
So it's a book that was written as a result of a lot of the issues we're having in schools in terms of identity and children. And again, it was because children, they have intuition, but this world is killing their intuition because they're not they're moving straight into the social arena and not having a focus on themselves. They're not putting the spotlight on themselves. They're looking outwardly. And so as a result of that, their intuition is there, but their connection with their intuition was becoming less. So, for example, if a child is being abused, possibly sexually abused, God forbid, or whatever it might be, initially a child may not realize that they're being groomed. Now, at the age of 4, to give facts to the child, it's in some ways, some of those facts are quite inappropriate. You don't want to go into too much detail and open up, something within themselves. However, if they understood themselves, their sensory sensations that they have, that something doesn't feel right, it's all within you. So, when something is going wrong, the fact that you get goosebumps, you get palpitations, your face goes red, you clench your fists, all these things are signs for us to pick up that there's danger coming. Does that make sense? And so show the kids that these things that are happening to you are there for a reason. They're there to protect you. If somebody touches you in a way that you don't like, and you know it's not something that's normal that we practice, or tells you that you are something that you're not, that's different from the identity that you believe, then we need to talk about it as a family. And so I wrote this to make sure that the children would understand their values, beliefs, but it's not just a book for the kids. What we need is connection between parent and child, and we lose a lot. And so the book is in a way where you've got a parent zone where they understand the topic that's going to be covered first. And then there's a child zone. So if the child can read it, they will read it. If not, then the parent can read it to the child. And then there's an activity zone in each topic. So the activity will allow the parent, child, and the rest of the family to work together on that particular activity and consolidate what they've learnt. So not only has it become a teaching avenue for the parent and the child, but it's become something as a family to bond the family unit as well.
That's super. That's fantastic. That's so good, mashallah, because these are the challenges we are facing today, right? And you've done such a great job. Thank you so much, Farzana. And you've really given me so much food for thought, and I don't know where else I want to take you now, but we're coming to the end of the show. Anything I have missed out or anything that you wanted to say? When is your course starting?
Inshallah? It's on Tuesday, inshallah.
On Tuesday, and is it kind of on a regular basis, or?
So the course is over 4 weeks. That's 2 hours a session, and it's got lots of homework. So the growth happens again because I want you to look inwardly. I want you to sit within your emotions, your feelings, and whatever issues you may have, and start to experience them. So the course means that you have to do certain bits of homework. it doesn't mean that you can't move on with the course, but if you want to achieve the most you can,
Yes,
you
of
must
course.
do the homework. And that's where most of the growth happens. So you
Yeah.
learn the tools, you get to share, talk, understand, and the community spirit of it allows you to realize that actually you're not alone in the troubles that you're going through. Even if people are not discussing their troubles, you can clearly understand that everyone is there to change, to learn, to figure out whatever's going on in their life. And so
Absolutely.
the homework is the main space, sitting alone in your own space, where you will see immense growth.
MashaAllah. That's like reflective journal or something like that, right? Is it?
It's a bit more directed, and even a
Okay.
reflective journal can sometimes be quite a surface thing, depending on
Mhm.
how deep you've been trained to go or pushed to
Yes.
go.
Yes.
So this allows you to slowly push yourself. So the first session is understanding yourself and the perception that other people have of you. So looking at yourself within the world as such. The second session allows you to go deep and start digging out things that you've picked about yourself or seen about yourself or issues you've experienced. The third one is now lay the foundation in the gap that you've left. Now that you've gone and excavated through a lot of your life, fill it with positivity, fill it with the things that you need to create a foundation and start building. And by the fourth session, now that you've got to a stage where you can move forward, what are your plans to move forward? You're finishing the course. What are you going to do? And it allows you to start making intentions and actually moving forward in your life, inshallah.
That's great. Thank you very much for sharing that, and I hope many of our Lantern of Light viewers will jump on the bandwagon as well. But well done, and thank you very much. All the best for your course, Farzana, and I really appreciate you having come and told us so many lovely things. And maybe we can catch up with you sometime again, inshallah. So,
Inshallah. Thank you for
Jazakallah
inviting
khair.
me.
May Allah bless you plenty in all the hard work you're doing. So I could have said give a loud salawat, but there's no one to give salawat now. So maybe I could just say a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So thank you very much. And we take this opportunity to pray for all those people who are suffering today. And inshallah, if you haven't subscribe to the Lantern of Light YouTube channel, please do so. Thank you for watching today, and hopefully we'll see you again. We're having another one on Monday. I don't know how this happened, but inshallah we're going to have another show of Tawakkul, Journey of Tawakkul on Monday. Jazakallah khair. Let's raise our hands in dua and take a moment. I think, Farzana, it's really lovely to take a moment and be present and pray together, inshallah. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and I will see you sometime. As-salama.
As-salama.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا من أرجوه لكل خير وآمن سخطه عند كل شر. يا من يعطي الكثير بالقليل. يا من يعطي من سأل. يا من يعطي من لم يسأله ومن لم يعرف. تحننا منه ورحمة. أعطني بمسألتي جميعا خير الدنيا وجميع خير الآخرة، واصرف عني بمسألتي إياك جميع شر الدنيا وشر الآخرة، فإنه غير منقوص ما أعطيت، وزدني من فضلك يا كريم يا ذا الجلال والإكرام، يا ذا النعماء والجود، يا ذا المن والطول، حرم شيبتي على النار.